Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Faffing with Friends. Today we're going to talk about holidays and holiday destinations, travel. Some of you globetrotters out there might be really interested in this episode. Unfortunately not that well traveled, but I'm assuming that my two co-hosts are. So I'm going to hand over to them to introduce themselves and perhaps even tell us what their favorite destinations are, or even favorite destinations that they have yet been to.
So as usual, you are joined by your best buddy, Lawrence. And
Hello.
I have, especially now that COVID is over, we have a lot to talk about, I think. So that's good.
That is a very bold statement about COVID being over, but, hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we actually looked it up through the magical power of time travel that Joe randomly uses sometimes. By the time this comes out, you would actually be able to book holidays. So that's something very positive, right? That's something very positive. Yeah. Also, I'm Ivaylo, in case you forgot me. I'm still here. I'm still alive.
Hello, guys.
He has not been lost just yet to the tides of time.
Despite the ruinous events of my setup, please, I'm passing a basket to donate to help me get a setup. But I'll go on to the tangent. Anyways, holidays. We're all foreigners here, right? We all have our favorite destinations, and I do think that we have a bit of bias towards our own homes, some more than others maybe. So I'm not gonna surprise anyone by saying that I absolutely love going to Bulgaria. I think Bulgaria has incredible potential for tourism, and yeah, that's my opening statement. I'll talk about the potential tourism of Bulgaria after someone else takes the reins. So yeah, go for it.
So I agree with you quite a lot that the place I've gone the most is obviously back to Romania, which is my home country, because you have family there usually when you're from somewhere else, so you don't just go for the usual reasons people go on holiday, which is I want to change it up and be far away from where I currently am and from work and stuff. When I go to Romania, it's more than that. It's I want to see, friends, family, everyone that's there that, I have to leave behind every time I live in England for years and then can't go back for even more because COVID has destroyed all travel. So, yeah.
And your pets. Don't forget your pets.
When you have pets and you have to leave them in a different country, you want to visit them again. So, especially I do feel Romania, especially for me, because I'm someone who loves nature. I think we've covered that before. It's one of my issues with London specifically. Romania is a great getaway because where I live in Romania, it's in the middle of a very nature-filled area of the country. So I can go on hikes that are, full on just infinite forest, mountains on all ends. And it's a very nice change up to what I have to deal with here, where over the last year of lockdowns, I've pretty much memorized like the back of my hand every single route or path through the nearby parks because I've walked them so many times since they are my only option.
Yeah.
I'll complete the trifecta and say that I have also been back to my home country a bunch of times, although it's been half a decade now since I have last visited. But again, for the same reasons of family as well as getting away, I used to visit Iran. And similarly, I'm very fond of the natural sort of areas. With the city that I was born and my parents met is quite big and quite busy and a little bit polluted. So, but the surrounding villages, like one of them where my dad was born and grew up, is a lot more akin to where you guys are from. It's a lot more nature-centered and more soothing and much nicer place for a destination. But the irony is that we live in a capital where we have a lot of tourism. A lot of people want to come and visit London. And we've already covered this in a different episode. The fact that, at least myself personally, that I rarely venture too far out in London unless it's with you guys or some families visiting. But when it comes to places I want to visit, it's sometimes I have to think about, okay, is it somewhere I want to go because of the destination itself? So let's say, for example, you go to Thailand or the Mauritius or the Maldives or whatever. And, whenever you mention those places, you think of light blue oceans and, green cliffs or whatever, right? Or do I want to go to historical capitals that have, really rich heritages and stuff like that, for example, like Sofia, like Bucharest, and Paris or Berlin, and so on.
Sofia gang. Anyway, so go on.
So sometimes I have to think about, okay, where do I really want to go? Ideally, I want to go to the Maldives, but it's quite expensive, and it just seems that because going to somewhere like, for example, let's say Paris, which is probably just as expensive, because it's so streamlined and so many people go there, it's become more affordable for someone like me who's from like the lower, either working or lower middle classes, who can only afford to go so far so many times in my entire life. And then the third option for me is I've got the rest of the UK to explore, and there's a lot that I still haven't seen and I would love to see. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think you mentioned something that I think is a very important factor to holidaying in the first place, and that is affordability. Now, I think a big reason I like going back to Romania, and Ivaylo probably Bulgaria, is we own houses there. So go there, for a holiday doesn't actually cost us as much because we're not paying rent at a ridiculous hotel. We're not usually even, we have family there, so we usually get like fed more often than not because our kinds of, Eastern European families like to feed you when you come back.
Can confirm.
You cannot escape the free food. So it's a lot less pricey, it's a lot less costly, and it's just, if you're on a budget, going back to if you have, a home country you've come here from or wherever you're living, it's really easy to go back if you have a house there or family because it saves you so much money every single visit.
I 100% agree with that. My biggest issue with always going to Bulgaria or anywhere is just literally the plane tickets. They're like the biggest scalping thing. They take the biggest chunk of my allowances, the plane tickets. And I don't know if Lawrence, have you ever done this, but have you ever gone to Romania by car?
It's exactly what I wanted to bring up.
Yes, my
so
guy.
I have had to drive through all of Europe at least 7 or more times because my family just couldn't afford all of us taking a plane. So we got in the car and we just drove from here, took the ferry across the channel into France, and then just kept going with the car. And I personally hate it because I can get car sick over long distances. So once I've been in the car for like 6 hours and we've barely made like 5% of the journey and I start vomiting around, it's like, this is going to be the greatest 2 days of my life, isn't it?
Do you sleep in the car as well?
I mean, we tried to stop at least once because trying to drive from here to Romania on without really getting good sleep, you're being stupid, you're causing danger to yourself because if you can't sleep that well in the car regardless, so if you try and just sleep in the car and then get back to driving, there's just too much danger. So we try to stop at least once usually. And because of the distance, it's usually somewhere around Germany or Austria that we end up stopping when we're doing like a, beeline.
Yeah, again, that makes sense. And we haven't done it. We've been lucky enough to obviously be able to go with plane, but I can only imagine. I actually want to experience it at least once. Like, I know, you complain about it, but it's
so wait, have you never had to?
I've never gone by car. Never.
Incredible.
It's very strange, but I've never gone by car. It's always been planes and just... As I say, they're the ones that take the biggest chunk out of my pocket money for holidays.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you mentioned, houses are there, even the exchange rate is in our favor if we go to other countries most of the time because the pound is still quite the strong currency. But Joe, obviously, you mentioned going to Paris and how it may seem a bit too intimidating or expensive.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Actually, the last holiday, it's perfectly affordable. The last holiday I went to was in Paris, and that was in February 2020. Before the dark, well, it was nearing the dark days because France had about, I believe, 500 COVID cases, and there was still no COVID cases in the UK registered. So everything else, despite the 500 COVID cases in France, everything else was still open. It was like life was just completely normal. So we go there, we go to the hotel, we stayed for like a few days because it was my mum's birthday. So we stay there for a bit. We literally do all the touristy things one can imagine. We go to the Louvre, we go to the Eiffel Tower, we climb all the way up to the Eiffel Tower in these little sardine box elevators, which basically had like 30 plus people in them.
Yeah.
Everyone just like fidgeted like a hot summer day on the Central Line. How none of us got sick from that trip is beyond me, considering when we came back, there were already cases in the UK, and then everything else just shut down.
Plot twist of the week, Ivaylo's the one who brought back
Please, bro, please. No, it's not me. I mean, as you joke, but I could have known. We could have all been asymptomatic. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's the issue, isn't it? That's why it became such a that's why travel has just died for the past year, because everyone's worried. What if someone brings a strain over that is brand new and worse?
And you know what?
Right, exactly.
You know what? Despite travel dying, you would think that the cost of plane tickets would go down.
Oh no!
Yeah,
but they haven't. They're even more.
In fact, in some cases, they've actually gone up.
Because here's the problem, right? What is happening now, especially with like plane travel, is they're upping the price per tickets to make up for how many empty seats there are, because they're using a lot of fuel to go all the way. So if not enough seats are being filled per flight, then it's not really viable economically for what it's wasting, you know?
Yeah.
Do you guys know if planes are like doing like they're obviously doing social distancing? Like you can't have people in the same row again, right?
I think
like,
I think so.
Because I haven't.
I think I think you're allowed to like sit on the same row and some with family, because obviously you're part of the same like group or bubble, but I don't think you and strangers are allowed to have the same seat next to each other.
Yeah
That makes sense.
Right, so I wanted to ask you guys a question. We've obviously talked about going on holidays with like going back to see family, going back to see nature. Are you guys a bit of a party animal when you go on holiday? Are you more into like an Ibiza kind of party?
No.
Exact opposite. Exact opposite.
You don't fist bump the air on the floor, just completely out of it. No.
Anytime I go on holiday, it's like I go to get peace and quiet.
Yeah.
It's why I usually pick like either back home where there's a lot of nature and not near a city, or like, anywhere else where it's that kind of place. Like one of the few cool things about driving there every now and then is you kind of get to stop, around Europe in most of the countries in the in-between. So I've been to Germany lots of times. I've been to France lots of times now. I've been to, Austria. I've been a lot of like Europe I have seen and been in for pieces and just gotten like taste of the food when we were there. Like, see, you get almost like a little vignette of like European holiday before you reach the point you're actually headed to if you go by car.
And that must be quite a nice trail, in fact, because you're going through, I'm assuming, France, and then you'd say Germany and Austria, right? And then you also go through perhaps Hungary or some of the Balkan countries.
Usually Hungary.
Right, and you actually get to see a lot more of Europe than someone who would just go to one country and maybe stick to one area of a city, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty much one of the benefits and why I do want to go by car. And as you mentioned, you get to see some sights, you get to travel, you get the whole road trip experience,
Road trip to Romania, guys.
Listen.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. If you're going with your parents, it is not a road trip. If you're going with friends, maybe it is. But when you're in the car with your parents stuck there for 2 days, trust me, you're not going to be happy.
Right. But that's actually something you mentioned, whether we're party animals. That's actually something I'd be into if, as friends, you'd go on a road trip and like maybe you've got a trunk full of drinks and barbecue food, and you'll stop occasionally along the way to just like fry up something on your.
I think if you're going on a holiday with friends or with more people, usually you're doing one of two things. You're going to go on like the kind of holiday that's adventurous. You're going to go hiking, or you're going to go camping, or you're going to go somewhere like that, or you're probably going to go get wasted and have parties. Like, because if you're bringing friends, those are the two avenues. You can't really.
Let me blow your minds, because I do both. I go on holiday with my parents, and then once I get to Bulgaria, I go and get smashed with my friends. So
fair enough.
Saying that, yeah, but it's definitely possible. And I wouldn't say I get what you mean. I'm a very weird case, because I do like my peace and quiet, but I also enjoy the beach. I also enjoy.
Yeah, I think out of the three of us, you're the most outwardly outgoing when it comes to partying and socializing.
Stop it! I mean,
that's not a compliment coming from me.
I can feel the disdain in your voice, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what I do like. This brings me back to my topic about Bulgaria having incredible tourism, and I'm gonna utter a name that a lot of English people actually might know, and a lot of Bulgarians certainly know, and that is Sunny Beach. My lord, Sunny Beach. Sunny Beach, right? For those of you that don't know, Sunny Beach is one of the biggest resorts in Bulgaria. It's nothing but hotels. It's on the strip. It's on like it's the Bulgarian version of Ibiza. That's how I'm gonna put it. Like, I've been there a few times, and that is not the place you go if you want a calm, relaxed holiday. It is the complete opposite. I can't say some of the stuff I've seen on Sunny Beach on podcast, but it's just like,
What, is it like a nude beach, or?
It's not a nude beach, it's just an absolute...
Joe, there's people wild in, bro. They're going wild.
Absolute chaos. I remember there's actually this documentary, I believe, on YouTube, which I saw, and it had these two British lifeguards, right? And they were lifeguards at Sunny Beach, and they said the following quote, which was ingrained in my mind. They said, "If James Bond has a license to kill, we have a license to fuck."
Right.
Oh, God.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, Chad, okay. But yeah, Sunny Beach is very insane. It's very wild.
That sounds like exactly the kind of holiday place I avoid.
You want to avoid.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what happens? A lot of Brits go there because the alcohol and because everything else is just so fucking cheap. Like,
Oh yeah, obviously.
in the hotel that I used to stay, the hotel that I usually stay when I go to Sunny Beach, there's complaints of British tourists falling off balconies into swimming
Amazing.
pools, tables being broken. It's absolute chaos. But
I mean, I will say
Yeah.
one thing you notice, especially coming from Eastern European or Balkan countries, is British and Western tourists in general are the absolute worst, and we avoid them and we shit talk them when they're not around because they are just incredibly rude. They get drunk constantly. It's the
bro,
worst.
that's where you go on holiday to get absolutely
Yeah, but
smashed.
when you're living there and then the tourists appear, that's not why you're living there, Ivaylo.
I mean, yeah, go on.
No, it's just a problem there.
I'm assuming that Sunny Beach is probably pretty sunny, right? Otherwise,
Yes,
nobody would.
yes, that's one of the things I do want to mention. Bulgaria's weather in the summer, fantastic, phenomenal.
Right.
Absolutely wonderful. Love the weather. It's one of the biggest reasons why I actually still go to Bulgaria. I love the beach. I'm actually a great swimmer. No one knows this, but I used to swim a lot when I was younger because again we used to live pretty close to like a sea area,
I
so-
assume since it's like the only real place this could be, Sunny Beach is like by the Black Sea. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course, yes.
Yeah, so that's one of the places where like in Romania I'll go and see as well because
Yeah.
all of those countries kind of border the Black Sea, so you can go and we all have beaches around that sort of spot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do remember liking it because it's such like a salty water and you feel like refreshed and like
Yeah.
healthier when you go in it.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. The entire east side of Bulgaria has like a seaside. Just the complete seaside is there. All the towns, all the tourist destinations. There are others compared to Sunny Beach, but that's the most. If you want to go have the like full on the floor mouth foaming and you're still fist bumping with
So yeah,
alcohol poisoning.
that's you'd say that's the mainstream
That's the
for
mainstream
party animals.
one. Yeah, I do avoid it. I've been there a few times when I was younger in the good old days, but it's just like I wouldn't go there now. Absolutely, with COVID.
Well, the reason why I mentioned it being a sunny place is that you guys are gonna maybe you won't be shocked, because you all know how much of a cave golem I am.
Yeah.
I would not go to a holiday destination for the weather, not one bit, especially if it's a hot place.
Interesting.
Because I prefer, that cold, sunny breeze that you get sometimes here in the UK, where it's sunny.
Yeah.
It's not too cold, but it's not too warm either. It's just breezy, right?
I'm not a fan.
That's
No.
that's the most I can actually tolerate, because if I'm anywhere above 20 degrees Celsius, then it's just going to be really
Thing is, though,
sweaty for me.
Is this based on a English judgment of 20 degrees and over, or an anywhere else in the world judgment?
That's actually a
Because
good point.
We've said this before, but 20 degrees and over here in this country is disgusting because of the wet
the
climate.
humidity.
Right,
We're
because of the
surrounded by
humidity.
water, and the humidity is up the ass. So anytime it's that hot here, it's the equivalent of like 40 degrees where I come from. Like that's how bad
Right.
it feels then.
Well, the most places I've been to are like northwestern Europe and then the Middle East, which are two stark places to contrast. But in both areas, depending on where you are, you could get really humid. Like on the French coast, for example, you get really humid weather as well. Sometimes even not that far off from, let's say, Dubai, which it could be just as humid and just as like hot. So I'll give you an example. So Ivaylo went to France about 2 years after I did the exact same things that you did, Ivaylo, when I was there.
Yeah.
And you're right, it actually doesn't cost you that much compared to some places that you go. I think it costs us about £1,000 in total. But my goodness, was it hot. To be fair, we went in August because we went for my birthday, so that it was going to be hot anyway. But even inside the Louvre, where they had air conditioning, I was sweating like a pig.
I mean, I don't think I would go somewhere warm without my sole purpose being having a beach around. Like that's, if you're going to go to a warm place, you have to have water around so you can go like cool off. If you're going to like a city to like go to a crowded, rush hour-y, full of people city when it's the hottest month of the year, that's pretty disgusting to me. I try to avoid that.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with both of you. I actually would love to go to the Middle East, and I would love to go to a desert. I think that's.
I mean,
one of
I think a desert would be good for me because it's dry. Again, like it comes down to the humidity issue. It's because of how dry deserts would get, you'd assume. I'd probably not sweat as badly on my hands and my hyperhidrosis and stuff. So yeah, it'd probably not be as bad as, say, being here anytime it hits 23 and above, where my hands just turn into water.
Nah, man. Like, it's just I really want to go to a desert. It's a destination. I really want to go, and
You want to have that Uncharted 3 scene. Where
I
you're
do
just
want to
wandering
have
through
that
the
Uncharted
desert, yeah.
3 scene very much, and I do want to actually see an oasis, which apparently, to my disappointment, a friend of mine told me that they're apparently all marked. So
Yeah.
you can't just go and stumble into an undiscovered oasis.
Yeah.
It's just-
I mean, no, usually not.
it's so sad.
Because, people traveling camel trails need to know where they are so they don't die.
Yeah, but I wanna just be starved of water and just collapse and see an oasis in the distance.
Okay, so we have discovered something about Ivaylo, dear listeners. He likes to go on Bear Grylls holidays.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They leave him there with an empty bottle, a full bladder, and just a few simple tools. And that is Ivaylo's holiday.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to it. Say that kind of adventure. I mean, obviously I don't want to die, but like...
Well, you know, Bear Grylls has a show where he invites celebrities onto trails. Bear Grylls, if you're
Yeah.
listening, Ivaylo would definitely sign up for that.
Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
Bear hit me up. Bear hit me up. I'm telling you right now, I'm coming. But
Super Minor podcast host dies.
Oh
on
my
Bear
gosh,
Grylls.
no.
Tune in tonight to see the horrifying footage of a boar eating him.
no. Okay, so the desert is out of the question for now, I guess.
Well,
what about you?
except for one specific thing that, in a similar fantastical way that you just described, Ivaylo, I would accept, was if I somehow got stranded on a desert island. Hopefully not from like a shipwreck or a plane wreck, because then that would just be a tragedy. But if there's enough like abundant food around that I'm not going to eat and then die because I got diarrhea or dysentery or some sort of food poisoning, then I wouldn't mind being like on a desert island, perhaps all to myself, nobody bothering me, and then I'm trying to fend for myself just like Bear does, so long as I don't drink my own urine.
Okay, I'm gonna say something. You two are freaks, and I don't know what is wrong with your idea of holidays. I'm not imagining survival scenarios here.
Joe's idea of holiday, deserted island.
Jesus,
GG.
please,
GG. Nah, for
calm
real.
yourselves.
Yeah, for real. Go on. Tell me of an actual dream destination. Go on.
I have two that I very much like. That they are on. I guess if I had a bucket list, they'd be on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Number one is, it should be obvious because of how much I fanboy over a certain thing, but I want to go to New Zealand and see
Hobbiton!
all of that.
Mm.
Yes, see Hobbiton, see the
Hobbiton.
mountain ranges, see all the places where they filmed the Lord of the Rings, because that entire country, the reason they filmed it there, other than the tax breaks, is just how incredibly varied and beautiful the climate there is,
Yeah.
and how many different zones look absolutely stunning in that entire nation. And it's just, that's absolutely one of my bucket list places. I want to see New Zealand during a summery, springy time, and just go to all these places where they have where they filmed a lot of the scenes and where they had the tracking shots, and just enjoy the nature there, because that's one of those places where the nature's so varied and so beautiful that, to me, the kind of person who loves going to a place that's just nature, that's dream scenario. And the other one that I would place as my second dream destination is the Galapagos Islands.
Oh.
Now,
Oh, really?
this is a result of just the fascinating biodiversity on that island, and the fact that it was cut off from other animals and all the rest of the world for so long, that it has the widest array of unique, nowhere else in the world species of animals on Earth, like the Galapagos turtle. And I really want to see some of that, because it is so fascinating how you had this place that was completely isolated, and there's so many different evolutionary outcomes of different creatures that shouldn't really exist, because of the rest of the world they never would, but because of this place and how it was cut off, it's so amazingly interesting. I've watched multiple documentaries on it, on the biodiversity there. I've seen read reports and books about it, and it's one of those places where just the scientific wonder of that as a concept is enough for me to put it on. I'd really like to visit.
That's a great
Right,
destination.
right. That's a great destination. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't know how easy it is to get into New Zealand nowadays, considering how well they've handled COVID. But if
I think I'm going to wait a good long time until COVID isn't a problem with travel.
Yeah.
small-time podcast host goes infects nation.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think New Zealand would be a great place to
Yeah.
visit. It's not particularly my dream destation.
Listen. I arrived there, and you cut to they have the 100 days without COVID sign, and it just gets reset to 0.
Oh no, Lawrence, please no.
On touchdown, just.
What about you, Joe?
For me, okay, goodness. I don't know how I can follow up the great destinations that Lawrence just mentioned. But I've always been a little obsessed with the Caribbean. This is probably influenced by the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
I mean, I hope you know it's not going to be like your pirate adventures.
Yeah, of course it's not, of course. But I'm really intrigued by the culture there, and I just want to, because you've got all these different islands, and they were all colonized by different European countries, so each one speaks a different language, but the natives also have their own different culture separate to...
Yeah, it's probably the most like intermixed, different influence like culture place.
Exactly, and I want to just go and experience that and get familiar with it and meet all the people there and just understand what it's like, learn about history, but also obviously the beautiful places, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, they are like, you know, one of the poster locations for like beach and like resort holidays for that reason.
Exactly. Yeah, although I'm a bit. I mean, I don't know why, because this is a bit irrational, but I'm a bit concerned about the Bermuda Triangle. I wouldn't want to get stuck in there.
Oh my lord!
No. Joe,
are we having like a flashback to the cryptids episode where we've lost one of our hosts in the Bermuda Triangle?
Could you imagine?
Ghost ship.
Could you imagine? The other destinations I have in mind, like there's two other like categories.
Yeah, go on.
Besides like island nations and so on. And that's, I see, the thing is, we're going to, this is inevitable. I know Ivaylo wanted to bring this up at some point. We're going to talk about Brexit, right? And I really, before Brexit was a thing, I really had this whole idea of a grand tour of Europe in mind. The one that I could obviously afford, right? I've only been to a handful of European countries, and the most recent ones are Germany and France. I didn't particularly enjoy Germany that much. I was in Hamburg, and although it was the capital of the Hanseatic League, there was a lot I could have seen, but due to some circumstances, I was mostly stuck at home, or not at home, at the hotel, or either barely out, and then mostly at the church.
So just a terrible time to be holidaying in Germany.
Right, it was in the fall, it was in autumn, so it wasn't the best time anyway, because it was pretty...
Yeah, but also just like circumstance-wise, like as you said, it was not the greatest way to experience that specific point.
Definitely not, but I just want to have another opportunity of exploring Germany and other countries. I've heard that there are beautiful places like southern Germany, like München, the Black Forest, so, you know, Munich and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Germany is another, you know, just like Hungary and Austria, they're very good with nature. Like,
exactly.
You want to go see the mountains and, you know, that kind of area.
Exactly. So I want to see the nature of Europe, but also the landmarks of Europe, because why not? I mean, you want to go there. I mean, I really wanted to do this. Whilst I was in Hamburg, I thought, you know what? Why don't I just get a ticket to Berlin for like a one-day ticket, just to go and see some of the places, see the Berlin Wall, whatever's left of it, see the arch and stuff like that. But that just never happened. So, but it did for France. Obviously, we talked about that. And the other category is this is just something personal to me, which is I've done it for the UK. I've been to the like pilgrim destinations that there are in the UK. I've been to Canterbury. I've been to Walsingham. But I want to do this just like as a personal thing. I want to go to Rome. I want to go to
yes, the spiritual holiday.
Exactly, the spiritual holiday. I want to go to the Holy Land.
Yeah, the spiritual holiday.
So that's something that's just specific to me. I mean, I would understand if you guys are not into that, but
I mean, I have something similar to that where I do sometimes want to go see two specific, you know, spiritual-ish places based on this kind of concept, which is I want to go to Nepal so I can see, you know, the mountainous like temples, you know, the Buddhist temples there, because that seems fascinating to me. I love that culture. I love like everything about it. And it'd be very interesting to go to an actual Buddhist temple in Nepal and you know, see how they live and see how they do everything there. And another one is one of the few things that like a lot of people have a lot of reasons they want to visit Japan.
Yeah.
For me, it comes down to two main things, and that is because we all know I'm an architecture mark. They have incredible architecture in most of Asia, really. Their historical buildings especially, but also in Japan, they have, you know, Shintoism and a lot of really interesting shrines and temples and just stuff I would love to see. I that is exactly, for me, the kind of like, I want to see these other like foreign, different from what I saw back in Romania. Because, you know, back in Romania, we have a lot of churches and architecture like that. And here we have St. Paul's and a lot of churches and a lot of architecture like that and temples. But I want to see some of these like Eastern, you know, different, slightly spiritual spots and see how they differ and see the culture there and how the people live in those places and how, you know, just how things are done there. It would be very fascinating.
I'm definitely very open to that as well.
Hell yeah, and I think that would be a Amazing trip. Wow, you guys actually went ahead and inadvertently mentioned my two favorite destinations, which I'm gonna go into detail a bit more later. But I do want to give a shout out to our friend Jacob, who says that he waits for Joe to mention Catholicism on every single episode. So the time mark for this is 28 minutes. Jacob, go listen to him now.
Let me just mention something else so that we can get this over with as well. When we all go to New Zealand to visit Hobbiton, we could also lock up George R. Martin on White Island. As he said, if he didn't complete Winds of Winter by 2020, we can all happily lock him up there. We can
imprison him.
So there we go. I also mentioned Game of Thrones.
So there's your Game of Thrones reference of the week.
Hell yeah. Right, back to my favorite holidays. Same way that Joe wants to go see the Caribbean, I do want to see Italy. And I want to see a few particular sections of Italy because of Assassin's Creed. Now, obviously I'm a historian. I know my history and I'm an early modernist. I love the Renaissance. But I do want to just go and recreate Ezio's journey from...
Oh, sorry. Are you going to be like falling off roofs and breaking your legs?
No, but I do want to just put... Jesper Kid's soundtrack in my ears and just go around Florence, and then from Florence go to Venice. From Venice, go to Rome, which is actually the journey of Brotherhood and AC2. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love Italy. I think the Renaissance is perhaps the most significant historical period in
Europe at the very least.
Europe at the very least, and obviously I want to see the Duomo in Florence, which I've talked about, which is basically their St. Paul.
I can't wait to get Ivaylo's holiday pictures where he's doing the eagle dive off the dome right into a haystack and just disappears forever.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna do that. But obviously, because Joe mentioned also Rome. I understand Joe's a way bigger Catholic than me, but I also want to go see the Vatican.
I think I do as well, just because it's such a architecturally, ridiculously, incredible place. Like, that for me absolutely is probably on the list, because it's just, the city of gold. There's a reason it's known the way it is.
Absolutely.
Anyone would probably be happy to go just look at the incredible buildings and the incredible murals and everything inside there, because it's artistry.
100%.
The Vatican is just a piece of art on the architectural scale.
You know the obelisk in the St. Peter's Square, as well as some of the churches that are well over 2,000 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild, absolutely wild. And you also want to see the Colosseum as well.
Oh yeah,
that's something that needs to be seen and needs to be experienced. Yeah, man, Italy is an absolute bucket list, and hopefully next year I might be getting my wish of going to Florence if everything is okay.
Tune in next year when Ivaylo and Lawrence have a battle to the death in the Colosseum.
Finally gonna get you back for the flipping the fucking physical and digital media episode.
Are you not entertained?
you absolute wanker. Jesus Christ. But my second destination, Lawrence already mentioned, as sure as Joe mentioned in Game of Thrones and Catholicism, I do want to go to Japan. I do absolutely love... See, the thing with Japan for me has been just so fictionalized and so... I don't know. It's just been...
Yeah, he's gonna go there with the super weeb version.
I am gonna go with the super... Which, again, it may not be the authentic version of Japan, but it's something I do want to go and do want to experience.
Wait a minute, where's the giant robots and the horrible alien monsters? I mean, this ain't right.
You're telling me Godzilla isn't real. But, I do want to go. I do want to go to Tokyo especially. I do want to go to Kyoto, Osaka. I just want to have all of my dream destinations, all these countries. I don't want to just stay in one place in particular. I want to go to explore, because who knows when I'm going to be back again to this country,
Yeah.
And...
So I've heard this. This is something someone who's gone to Japan many times has given me as advice, and that is, when you go to Tokyo, that's one holiday. When you go to everywhere else, that's another. You can't do the city, and you can't all the rest in a single going, because you won't have enough time.
That would make sense completely, but you have to shell out some more money in that case, don't you?
Well, if you have such a long bucket list of weeby locations, what can you do?
They're not really weeby locations, Lawrence. Are you
I literally cannot wait to get pictures of Ivaylo's holidays where he's dressed as a samurai, dressed as a gladiator, dressed as an assassin. He's just going to be cosplaying in different places. That's what I expect.
That's not so bad. And I'm leaving the podcast. I'm kidding.
You know,
I'm
it's
joking.
funny. We might all actually end up going to Japan at some point because my brother really wanted to go for this year for the Olympics, but obviously for obvious reasons we've had to postpone.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but he wanted me to go along with him, and I was happy to do so. But unfortunately, you know, for obvious reasons, we'll have to postpone that.
Tune in to the Faffing with Friends episode in Japan.
We're really
gosh.
setting up some future episodes, aren't we?
Oh yeah, of course we are. I'm also setting up the Faffing with Friends road trip where we actually record in the car.
I actually want to do that. That would be sick.
So
If one of us can learn how to drive and get a car.
Listen, the Ivaylo gets lost in the
Oh my
desert
God.
episode.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
him
that's-
slowly
that's-
dying of dehydration.
this has been your host, Ivaylo.
Oh my god.
By the end, all you hear is like the desert winds.
But yeah, man.
Sting singing Desert Rose in the wind.
Jesus.
Oh,
But yeah,
God.
I absolutely love holidaying. I do hope that after COVID is gone, or at least under control by the time you're listening to this,
Yeah.
you would have booked
Yeah, I
some
mean, we
holidays,
all know that
so-
some places are way more far behind vaccine-wise than others, so it might take a bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, sooner or later, we have to be able to travel.
Did
again.
you mean
It's
the
just-
whole of Europe?
Yes, I did mean the whole of Europe. It is quite incredibly disappointing because I still want to go back to Romania sometime
Yeah.
in the next decade. Can you guys please get your shit together?
I do so as well. I do still have family there, which that's one of
Yeah.
the biggest things as well. I do have grandparents there, and
Yeah.
obviously with the way nature is, I know that my time with them is limited. They're not sick or anything, thank God, but they're old people. You know how old people
Yeah,
are.
obviously, yeah.
Like, I do want to go and see them when I still have the opportunity.
Yeah,
to
I
do so.
want to go see my grandparents.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, Joe, to go back to the topic of Brexit, and the reason why I evilly laughed very, very, very meanly at me when you mentioned it is because me and Lawrence aren't really affected by Brexit.
Oh,
in that
yes,
sense.
that's
really?
right.
we both have dual citizenship.
But I am,
We
unfortunately.
both have dual citizenship, so we can go. But it's okay. You can come with us. Well, I'm sure.
Just hide me in the trunk.
Yeah, obviously.
But to make that perfectly clear, I absolutely deplore the whole idea that just because of Brexit you can't visit everywhere. And people in Britain somehow think that that's the fault of the countries that they're going to instead of.
Yeah, no. Are we gonna like go talk about the Spain thing? That's really
I mean,
fun.
yeah, it was very hilarious because I saw someone who had lived in Ibiza for years and said, have to go back to the UK now, fuck the EU. And I'm like, what do you mean? You voted for this!
Yeah, and of course, yeah, it was one of those people that voted for Brexit while
Yes.
living in a European country and
Yes.
just having the status of not being a citizen there because they never bothered to get a citizenship, but they're being sent back here because they never bothered. And it's like, can you just can't. There's the logic behind voting to leave the EU when you live in the EU with no documents that allow you to live there otherwise. It is mind-boggling. The mind gymnastics at work in that entire
4D
it
chess,
is
man. Some 4D
ridiculous.
chess.
Yeah, someone literally checkmating themselves.
Yeah,
you know,
it's very annoying. Yeah, Joe, I'm very sorry that your trip around Europe
That's
might be.
okay.
a
yeah.
bit-
When we go on our great road trip, it's gonna be me and Ivaylo getting through the quick queue, the European queue, and you're gonna be waiting at the absolute
You
foreigner
guys are going to
queue.
finally arrive in Romania, and I've only just left France, and I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, Joe, you can always just marry.
That is a very
yeah.
likely option if I marry a European, so I can get my dual citizenship.
Tune in a few years when our green card marriage is streamed live for our beautiful listeners.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But it is. I'll be honest, without saying too much on the subject, it is a sad situation that I'm. Anyway, well, let's move on. I wanted to mention two destinations that we haven't discussed yet, but I've heard a lot of people talk about for different reasons. Number one is India, and I've heard a lot of people say, going to India is like a spiritual experience, and which I respect. And I also heard a lot of people say going to India for like the history of it, for the culture, and so on. I've known a few people who have gone to India, and they've really had that spiritual experience that you guys talked about experiencing in Nepal and Japan and elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how that it's become a common thing, because if you go back far enough, you would have had prophets or even like religious people going to India and then coming back enlightened and stuff like that. So that's like a very long-standing historical thing. What do you guys think?
I think, okay, so before we go on to the whole like people going there to become enlightened
Right.
thing, I think that one of the reasons I would avoid India, it's got nothing to do with the country or the people or the culture. It's just it is too overcrowded. I already get like horrible anxiety and like
Right.
on like the rush hour tube, right?
Yeah.
And then you see like the streets in India and how you have to cross with the cars never stopping.
Yeah.
And just like walking between them on the roads. You've seen the highways
Yeah.
there, right? And the footage of
Yeah.
that. That stuff is like, I could never deal. I'm not crossing any roads. I guess I'm stuck wherever we land.
Yeah,
Like,
I empathize with
but
that.
it is insane.
I empathize
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
it's just the overcrowdedness, the way the traffic works there is terrifying. Stuff like that just really dissuades me from going. But yeah, I feel like the whole people going to places to be enlightened. Now, I don't think I'd do that to any of the places I said. I'm going there to see how they live
Yeah.
because I find it fascinating and I find the culture fascinating. I think that's a very Western
Right.
chic trend thing where you go to places where there's like a different culture or religion and
Right,
you don't
exactly.
really know or
Exactly.
care anything
Yeah.
about it, but you're like, oh, I had such a spiritual enlightening
Yeah, exactly.
experience. I went to India and smoked a hookah for 1 minute and then came back and now I'm a guru, okay?
Jesus Christ.
And it's just like I hate people like
Yeah.
that. They're really off-putting.
I think,
Like
yeah.
you're allowed to have like a spiritual experience and to feel like you've discovered something or like culturally like become more aware or like all that, but you can tell when certain people do that. Like they'll go to a place and they'll probably just spend the entire time in a resort.
Yep.
And then they'll come back and they'll be like, oh yeah, I got a taste of the life of India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, shut up. Shut up. You didn't have to cross any roads. I would see the fear in your eyes.
Well, I'll be honest, it does
Yeah.
piss me off a bit because it's a little bit insensitive to the cultures and
Yeah, and
religions there.
these are the same kinds of people that'll go to a place and they're like the bad tourists, the ones that like do damage to fucking
Yes,
cultural heritage
exactly.
sites, the ones
Like
that,
some people who
leave
go on
trash.
trophy hunting trips, like to the
Yeah.
safari. Yeah.
Oh my god, don't bring that up. But people who go like on hunting trips to Africa
Yeah.
to like kill a lion, I hope you die. You are the
Oh my
worst humans
gosh.
on
Hot
earth.
take. Hot take.
It's not a hot take because every single time one of those assholes posts their pictures online, people crucify them and ruin their lives. This is not a hot take.
I mean, rightly so, because that's such a horrible thing to do. Like, how is that even a holiday? Like, what's going through your mind at that point?
And it's just the kind of like over wealthy privileged prick you have to be to afford going on a hunting trip to kill a specific endangered animal, and that was the purpose. You're just a piece of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, 100% agree
Like
with that.
there is no defense left to that. You are exactly what you are, and you deserve the like public destruction of your life that you usually get when that shit leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
What do you think about India, Ivaylo?
I would love to go visit. I agree with both of you on every single point you mentioned. I get that it's very overcrowded, but so is pretty much every single metropolis. I believe anywhere. Like, have you been to London, Oxford streets, rush hour?
I mean,
you
no,
know?
you're making a very obtuse point there. Every single, it's literally factual that China and India have the highest density
Yeah,
of
obviously,
population per
obviously,
city.
but still, I don't
So
think
no, it's not really the same,
Yeah,
Ivaylo.
yeah.
That's intellectual like dishonesty. Saying
Yeah, but
that.
it's not something I can't see myself not
Okay,
handling.
no, well then say
Yeah.
that. But like saying it's the same as any metropolis, that's completely not a true
fine, I
statement.
apologize, fine. But I wouldn't mind going. I think it's a very rich culture with rich traditions.
Yeah, again, like I
and-
would love if it was just for the culture and the food and the
Yeah.
people, but it's like if I didn't have to deal with the part that I really hate. Also, having IBS, the toilet situation there
Right,
scares
right.
me. I do not like toilets where you don't have a seat. That's always been a pet peeve of mine in any country that does it. I can't handle that.
Fair.
I can't. It's like I need to go to one of those hotels that costs more, that has like a Western style toilet.
Fair play. Now, before we wrap it up, I do just want to say one thing. Do you guys have any place that you've been to, but you would also recommend to the listeners to go to? Like, sell a pitch of your favorite place you've been to. Sell a pitch. Go for it.
Okay, can I say something that's
Yes.
like that? This may be a hot take, like Lawrence's big hot takes.
Go on.
I would never do that because I don't want you people ruining the places I value for my holidays.
God.
The less tourists there are for places I've discovered that I really like, the happier I am because I don't have to see other tourists. So no thanks.
My lords. Okay.
I'm willingly skipping this segment. Someone else go.
All right.
Go on.
You guys and probably our listeners might actually roll your eyes at this, but you know what? That's fine. I'm actually going to plug the UK because I've been to quite a
Eyes rolled already.
See, I
Go
told you.
My eyes fell out of my head.
I'm very good at predicting these stuff. I've been to quite a few places already, and I've lived elsewhere in the UK. So you know, it's got a spot in my heart. There's a lot of points. There are a lot of places that I have yet to go to. Like I really love to go and explore Cornwall and Devon and that area of the UK. I also want to go and actually visit more of Wales. I want to visit Scotland more, even Northern Ireland. But again, obviously England as well. Most of my experiences have been concentrated on central England, so around the Peak District, but also southeastern England, so London and the surrounding areas. So I really want to continue exploring the country that I've lived in for the past 21 years. So it's a bit weird that I haven't as much. So I would definitely plug it, obviously.
I mean, we all know you're a cave goblin, so it's kind of self.
I am a cave goblin, and it is going to take me a while to explore everything that I want to see. Like, there is some...
Listeners, do you want to know the weirdest
Go on.
thing? So Joe plays a lot of RPGs where he goes and kills everything that lives in every cave, and he's like one of those in real life. Someone is about to bust into his house and be like, "Where's the loot? Where's the boss of this dungeon?" And Joe's just there like, what the hell?
That's actually a very good point. I'm basically a recluse like J.D. Salinger, except that I haven't written an amazing novel yet. But yeah, if I do get the chance, because you've got Roman history, you've got sort of the Arthurian mythical history.
Yeah, there's places in the UK that I probably want to go. Like, I haven't gone through to Scotland or Ireland, so I do have to visit some of the like cultural heritage history stuff there. That's gonna be interesting.
And we have a lot of castles here. Guys, people who are not native to the UK, once you do visit, please don't just visit London and think that's it. No. There's a lot more to this country.
I mean, London's like its own place. It may as well not be part of the rest of the UK at times in terms of like the differences.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty huge.
Now, before we wrap up, actually, the other place that hold on, I think you might have actually something to say about this.
I do.
The other destination that we haven't actually really discussed, perhaps sometimes for good reason, and it might be a little bit controversial. So if you guys don't want to touch it, you're welcome not to. Is America?
Go on.
America and the American continent. Now that consists of Canada, the United States, Mexico, and like Southern America.
Can I ask a question? Hawaii's part of the US, yes?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, only place in the US I'd ever want to visit. Hawaii. There you go.
Fair enough. And you, Ivaylo?
I wouldn't mind going to California.
California.
California would be pretty great. I just want to go California. I think it's on the bucket list.
I like to minimize my chances of being shot, so I don't try to go to
Fair
the US
play,
ever.
Lawrence.
That's what I wanted to say. That's always genuinely, and I don't mean this as an offense to any Americans, but that's always been a concern for me. One of the reasons why I don't want to visit America is specifically the danger that, especially someone like me.
Yeah, no, again, we're all foreigners. That's already a minus against us. The chances of us getting shot have gone up.
Right.
Oh my
just by
God.
that.
But if like, so you chose Hawaii and Ivaylo chose California, and I'd love to visit both of those places. My place would be Bernie Sanders' hometown, Vermont.
Really?
Because it's so like, although like they're sort of lax on gun ownership, stuff like that, but they're very liberal. The countryside is beautiful. It's where they make Ben and Jerry's. And going off the whole Assassin's Creed thing, I'd love to explore all the trails that Connor and Haytham did during like the American Revolution. Go to Philadelphia, go to Washington.
Tune into the American Faffing with Friends episode where Joe fights his dad to the death.
Oh no, Jesus Christ! That was a good game. That's one of the best games.
That's
in the
a great
series.
game.
Fight me.
And obviously,
But yeah, no. So that's a problem for me. Like, of course, there's places I'd want to see there. Montana's amazing. It's beautiful. The nature there is incredible. There's the Grand Canyon. There's so much. It's too large. It's a continent.
Exactly, it's a continent.
But it's a continent, and there's too much nature to see. But the problem for me is, I'm not taking the risks that come associated with the US just to go see the nature. I can make do with the rest of the world where the chances of me having something happen to me are way low.
Right. Speaking of which, within that continent, I'd love to visit both Canada and Mexico. And perhaps some of the...
Yeah, I'm super up for Canada.
Yeah.
Like, Canada's been on my list as well. I want to see, like, Ontario, and I want to see, like, Montreal.
Oh my gosh, especially the train trips. Like, they're so long, and you've got these massive cabins where it's basically like a hotel on wheels. And you could just explore the whole country in maybe a week or two.
I would love to go to Canada as well. That's
Faffing with friends, recreate Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh gosh, Lawrence, you're just dropping one-liners today, bro. You're just on the.
I mean, look, dude, I'm just coming up with episode ideas. I'm gonna keep this going for a few years. I'm spitballing.
That is true. That's one.
But also, the only other area besides the Galapagos that you mentioned, Lawrence, just to finish on this, that I would love to, like the only other two areas, perhaps, let's say, that I would love to also explore and experience, if I could. I mean, if there weren't any dangers.
Yeah, I mean, that's already been like, if we can afford to go.
Which are the Andes and the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest.
Oh, the Amazon rainforest. Yeah, okay, I'd be into that. It's just, it comes with the one biggest issue I face, which is, like we mentioned, humidity. And there's nowhere more humid
than the Amazon rainforest. Yes, that's a great point.
Yeah, like that's the play. I'm going to go there and I'm going to sweat so much I'm just going to die instantly. The water will leave my body and I'll turn into a skeleton.
Well, heaven forbid anything bad happens to us in any of our holiday destinations. But that's it. That's all I have to say on this. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us. And guys, you want to wrap it up?
I do actually still have a point.
Oh, go for it.
Whoa. This is just me being absolutely egged. Anyways, right. So I did want to mention, actually, in comparison to Lawrence, I do have a place which I think everyone should visit and that not enough people actually know about, and that is my hometown in Bulgaria, Plovdiv.
What have you done?
Plovdiv. Now, I've painted a picture.
You understand that you almost inadvertently just doxed yourself, right?
That's fine. I'm fine. I haven't been there since I was 5, Lawrence.
Oh boy, listeners, you now know where he existed for 5 years.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I haven't been there in ages.
Get on it, super sleuths.
Right, so, people don't know about this, but I've painted a picture of Bulgaria as being this rowdy alcohol tourism destination, right? Mm-hmm. But, in reality, there's a lot of historical value in that country. And Plovdiv is one of those cities. Plovdiv was actually one of the oldest European cities. It is developed on 7 cyanide hills, and therefore it's known as the City of the 7 Hills.
Oh, just like Rome.
That's pretty awesome. And also, there is proof of habitation there all the way to the 6th millennium BCE.
Wow.
So, this thing is absolutely ancient. Its original name was Philippopolis, after Philip II of Macedonia.
Right.
And it is absolutely insane how much of it is actually preserved. Where the city is built, underneath the city, there is still remains of that settlement.
Wow.
And it's available to go visit. It's available to see. There's an old Colosseum underneath the city. There's tons of historical value there. It's just been... I can't believe it still exists. That thing should not exist. It's one of the most ancient cities there. And yeah, if anyone wants to go dox me up, I haven't been there since I was 5 because I moved. But if you want to go visit it, contribute to the thingy.
Noises of typing in the background.
honest to God. But it was a key part of the Roman Republic as well. It was Roman. It was Macedonian. It was Thracian. Yeah. It has tons of history, which is surprisingly a lot of it is still preserved. And if someone just decides to open up the city and dig underneath it, which they have that on tons of places, you will pretty much discover a whole another city under it. Wow. A whole another settlement. Wow. It's still there. It's still preserved.
Like a necropolis.
Yes, it's literally almost like a necropolis. I've gone downstairs to which feels like you're going into the netherworld, and there's still pillars, colosseums, everything is still there.
It's like that old episode of Futurama, Old New York, which is underground, which is under New York.
Yep, exactly like that. It's one of my favorite places, not because it's just my hometown.
Yeah, I'd love to visit.
But if people want to go visit, there's still an entire Roman theater there where people would go and perform. It's still completely and legitimately
intact,
still as it once was. It's absolutely incredible how it's survived so much. I would compare it to something like, I don't know, the flipping Library of Alexandria still existing, something like that, which shouldn't really exist. But yeah, that's my point.
Lawrence, you guys have obviously got Dracula. I'm sorry, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, we do. Lord, we do, of course. We have our great protector, Vlad Tepes. Again, in our country, he's a national hero, so yeah, kind of.
Exactly, yeah, he's a national hero. Yeah, and he's venerated in the church as well, isn't he?
Sort of, kind of, yes.
Yeah.
He held off an empire that tried to completely annihilate us for a while. Right. So yeah, no, he's a horrible monster that committed, impalings, but he was also kind of keeping the country alive. So,
we move.
I said that half jokingly because there's obviously more to Romania than Vlad Dracul.
I mean, there's even the joke we have where it's Hungarians always cry that we stole Transylvania from them.
Right, exactly, because Transylvania used to be Hungarian.
Yeah, if you ask a Hungarian, Transylvania isn't Romanian, but no, it's ours now. You can't have it back.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's been my bucket list of holidays and my opinions on the
Yeah.
holiday thing. If anyone else has anything else to say, please do so.
Yeah, I mean, here's the great part. This entire episode, if our like listeners ever wanted to like mark off every location on here, it'll be 10 years before they need another holiday episode.
That is true. This is the once in a lifetime Faffing with Friends holiday special, which hopefully won't be as bad as the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, no.
But you know.
Before we wrap up, we want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Adam Latif. Adam Latif Tutors is a private tutoring business which focuses on core subjects in both primary and secondary education. He has been tutoring with 5+ years of experience, having achieved excellent results and great student satisfaction. They run every day and provide face-to-face and online tutoring on any of the main platforms such as Zoom and Skype. All references are available upon request. To book a trial lesson, you can message Adam anytime on email, which is provided in the description of this episode, wherever you're listening from. If and when you do contact Adam, make sure to use the promo code FAFFINGFRIENDS, and the first lesson will be half price. Adam kindly gave us an invite to Clubhouse so we can have a social presence there as well. Clubhouse, as you may know, is an exclusive invite-only social media app which focuses on audio communication through rooms. If you are on Clubhouse, make sure to follow us at FAFFINGFRIENDS. We will soon be having live exclusive talks on there and would love for you to join us. All the information will be in the description.
Yeah, man. Joe, plug us, bro.
Yeah, so as always, guys, please head over to any social media, search at Faffing Friends, and you'll find us. Do the usual stuff, like us, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think of this episode. That'd be great, whether you tell us personally, which a lot of you guys have done, or if you want to comment publicly, that would be great too. And if you do go to my own Instagram, which is at Joe the Dude, you'll see a lot of the pictures I took when I was in France, and I have some funny captions, I'd say. I also have some pictures of the Notre Dame before it sadly burnt down, so that was another good reason to be in France at that time. But this has been Faffing with Friends. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I've been Joe.
I've been Lawrence.
And I have been Ivaylo, the desert man. All right. Goodbye.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
See ya.